What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and I'm just going to say first and foremost right now, this is going to be a shorter video, making it sweet and simple, because I am sick as fuck. My throat hurts so bad, it's very difficult to make this video, so I'm going to keep this intro short and sweet. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. So, the worst guy to smoke with. Now, let me tell you, all right? This happened to me yesterday, and I mean literally yesterday. And I know a bunch of you guys are going to be like, oh, well, I thought you were sick. I fucking am, dude. But listen, yesterday I wasn't nearly as sick as this. I woke up today, I got nailed, dude. I got hit with it. Like yesterday, things were starting to clear up. I looked a little better. Today I woke up, it was all hell broke loose. So either way, I might sound a little fucked right now. I don't know. But either way, so yesterday, I go over to my boy Chris's house, right? And I hit him up prior to coming on over. I'm like, yo, let me grab a quad or some shit. I got a little extra bud left. Let's smoke some blunts, kick it a little bit, just hang out. Chris is like, all right, sounds good. Let me know when you're on the way over. So I ask him if he has any wraps. He says no. So I'm like, all right, I'll grab some on the way. So, I go do that. I grab my blunt wraps. I cruise on over to Chris's house. And I pop up, and Chris hadn't told me that anyone else was there, right? And I didn't really care if there was anyone else there, right? So I pull up to Chris's house, I shake up with him, walk in the garage, and I see two very familiar faces that I haven't seen in a super long time. And we're going to call them Isaac and Joey. Now, Joey is not a guy who smokes weed anymore, but he used to, and I've known Joey for a fairly long time. And he's the guy who drove Isaac over. Now, I know that Joey and Chris have known each other for a long time, but apparently Isaac had never met Chris until today. This was Isaac's first time over at Chris's house, but I had also known Isaac for a long time, but I hadn't seen this kid in like 3 years, right? So I walk in the garage, and I see these two people sitting here, and I didn't even know Isaac smoked, right? So I'm like, oh my God, this guy actually smokes? Like, what's good, bro? So I shake his hand, he notices me, and he's like, oh my God, I haven't seen this kid in so long. So I shake up with him, I shake up with Joey, everything's cool. I'm kind of excited to smoke with these guys. I've actually never smoked with Isaac prior to yesterday, and I mean, thankfully, I guess, once I finish this video, but oh my gosh. Either way, so, I take a seat, and I'm chilling a little bit, and Isaac's like, yo, let me see a blunt. So I'm like, all right, for sure, I toss him a blunt wrap. And then he passes me his grinder to put some weed in it. So I'm like, all right, no biggie. Chris already said he'd match me anyways, so maybe he's just matching me on their behalf. I don't really mind if other people hit my weed, it's not a big deal for me. It's just one other guy. So I don't really care, if he's not throwing any weed personally, that's not really a problem to me, So either way, I pack up his grinder, pass it back to him. I packed it way too fat, right? I packed way too much extra weed in there. I pack it really, really fat. I pass it back to him. He starts grinding the shits up, right? I'm talking to Joey a little bit, just catching up, asking how he's been, chilling out. And Isaac, he rolls this blunt fairly quick. And I remember one of the things that he says as he finishes rolling this blunt is he goes, man, I don't think I've ever rolled a blunt perfect like this. Now, to kind of preface this guy, I genuinely had no idea he smoked weed before today, before yesterday, nor did I know that he was I didn't know that he was into smoking or any of that shit at all. He was a really good kid, and I didn't expect him to be able to handle this weed at all, because we had some really good shit on us, and luckily I still have this shit. This will help me through being sick, but either way, some super duper good shit. This is some strong. I've been getting real stoned the past week. I'll tell you guys that. And, Isaac is rolling up this blunt. He's like, oh, damn, I never rolled something this perfect. I'm like, all right. I mean, maybe this guy can roll some blunts, I had no idea how long he'd been smoking for or anything, but, he held up the blunt and it looked okay. So I was like, all right. So he sparks it. Now, he sparks it up and he passes it to me. It's wet as fuck. I'm talking moist, all right? I don't think a ton of it. I'm like, maybe he lipped it a little bit, but I'm not going to say anything. I haven't seen him in a long time. The whole blunt was just moist, but I didn't want to say anything out of politeness. I wanted to wait until I heard what Chris had to say. So I hit this blunt one time, and then I kind of hold it, and I hit it again, and then I pass it over to Chris. I kind of held it for a little while. Chris hits it one time, and he's like, what the fuck is this, bro? And He's like, who rolled this shit? And Isaac's like, I rolled it. And he's like, this blunt is fucked up. And I'm just like, oh God, this isn't gonna go well. And he's like, what you mean, bro? And Chris is like, this blunt's wet as hell, bro. You made out with this shit. And I got very offended right here because Isaac tried to blame it on me. He's like, bro, that must have been Nick. You know, he like points at me. I'm like, excuse me? And then after that, he's like, well, bro didn't even give me enough weed to finish it. Let me remind you guys, there's still easily like 4 bull packs worth of bud left in this guy's grinder, right? All my weed that he ground up, claiming that I didn't give him enough to finish it. But I digress either way. So I'm like, yeah, I gave you more than enough to finish it. But even if I didn't, like, why didn't you just say something? Like, you know, like, why would you not just ask for more weed? Like, what? You know? So either way, like, I was fully aware I gave him a pretty generous amount. I threw at least like probably a 1.3 or 1.4 into that guy's grinder, for sure over a gram, well over. But either way, so, you know, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh God, dude, this isn't going to go well. So Chris is like, yeah, no, fuck that shit, bro. So he just puts it out. Or no, he doesn't put it out, excuse me. He passes it back my way. I give it back to Isaac, who says he doesn't want it. So I'm still holding this. And I don't really want it either. And they're just like, you could face that. I don't want to face it. So I just put it out, right? So we have this like maybe 2/3 of a blunt left, right? Or 3/4, I don't really know. Either way, we have this majority of a blunt just sitting in the ashtray because nobody wants to smoke it. That's how fucked this blunt was, right? So now I got Chris rolling the blunt, and Chris is rolling up his own weed, and the blunt full of my weed that I was supposed to be matching Chris with is now out because the blunt's fucked. So I'm a little upset about that, but it's no big deal, you know? Everyone makes mistakes. It's whatever. He tried to throw me under the bus for it, which pissed me off a little bit, but whatever. Let's just smoke a little more pot and get to chilling, right? So at this point, everything's still okay. Nothing had gotten that uncomfortable or weird yet, you know? And Isaac reminds us all that he ordered a pizza, right? Now, it turns out that Chris told him to not order this pizza to their house and go pick it up instead. I don't really know why. It didn't seem like that big of a deal to me, but it's his house, gotta respect it. You know, if you're there, you have to respect his rules. So, of course, Isaac didn't do that, and the pizza gets delivered as we finish, or as we spark up this second blunt, right? So we've got this second blunt, and it gets sparked up. Me and Chris are smoking it. Isaac runs out of the garage to go grab his pizza, right? Comes back in. This other blunt is still in the ashtray, right? And I kid you not, like he's gone for like maybe 5 minutes. Me and Chris smoke a good portion of this blunt, right? He comes back in. He sits down with the pizza, right? I pass him the blunt, and I kid you not, all right? Listen to this shit. This kid opens the box of pizza, okay? Ashes on the pizza, okay? And then he puts weed on the pizza. He opens his fucking grinder. Like, I'm not joking, dude. He opens his grinder, and he sprinkles a little bit of kush on the pizza, the slice of pizza. And then he eats it. He eats it. Like, I was like, I didn't really, like, know what to say while he was doing it. Like, not while he was eating it, but, like, I saw him ash on the pizza, and I was like, okay, maybe he didn't mean to do that, you know? Like, maybe he just is, like, really high right now, because knowing this guy, he definitely probably can't handle his weed, and he for sure can't handle some pack like this, you know? Like, knowing this dude, he's probably used to smoking mid, right? He definitely doesn't have no plug like this. So, either way, you know, he's clearly stoned off his mind right now. Like, this guy clearly can't handle it. And as Chris and I are watching him do this, I'm like covering my mouth, trying not to just burst out laughing. And Chris is running his hands through his hair, and he's like, oh my God. Like, his eyes are so wide. I look over at Chris, and I've never seen someone go so wide-eyed so immediately. Chris was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you know? And he eats the whole slice, too. Not just one bite. He eats the whole fucking slice. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how did you just do that? No reaction, didn't gag or anything. I'm like, dude, like what? And Chris sits there for a good 5 minutes. And I look over at Joey. And Joey brought Isaac over. Joey introduced Isaac to Chris. And you could tell that he's so humiliated for bringing this guy over. You could tell that Joey is just so ashamed of bringing this guy over to Chris's house. You could tell he's just like, oh my God, what have I done? You know? And I'm sitting next to this kid, like shoulder to shoulder with him. And I'm just like, I'm looking over at him and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, how high are you right now, bro? So, you know, I of course don't actually say that. And Chris takes like a good 5 to 10 minutes to think what to say. He says Joey's name. He's like, listen, Joey. And Joey's like, what? And he just starts running his hands through his hair and thinking of what to say. And while he does that, Isaac taps me on the shoulder and asks for my vape. I pass him my vape. I'm like, whatever, dude. Just fucking hit my vape, you know? And he hits my vape, and he taps me on the shoulder again a couple seconds later, right? Still got my vape. And he tells me to watch this, right? So I'm expecting, like, he's going to blow some O's or some shit. He starts fucking ghosting. Like, he does, like... he does, like, the most, like, basic ghost ever. Like, he literally just, like... exhales for like a millisecond and then just inhales the like pixel of smoke back in, dude. Like, he's just doing the most basic shit ever that like anyone would do while they're smoking anyways without thinking about it. And he's like, he thinks it's like sick as fuck, dude. Then he tried to blow O's, but he couldn't blow any, and he did it like 3 times, and he wouldn't let me stop watching. Every time he did this, he would tap me, and I'd be like, bro, leave me alone. Like, I don't want to watch your fucking vape tricks, you know? And like, he would just tap me every fucking time, be like, bro, you gotta see this ghost, bro. And I'm like, dude, fuck off. So finally, Chris looks at him and he's like, bro, who do you hang out with? Like, where are you from? And he's like, I gotta know why you're like this, right? So Isaac's, you know, telling him a little bit about himself, and I'm not going to get too into detail here just for privacy reasons. Don't want to humiliate anybody on video, you know? But, you know, he starts telling him about himself a little bit. Comes to that he's on a track team and stuff. He hangs out with track kids a lot. And I'm thinking like, oh yeah, track guy, you know, definitely not someone who smoked some good pack, and someone who was definitely probably not ready to come over here today. You know, we don't smoke no normal people shit. So either way, you know, I'm just like, oh my God, bro. So finally, after Chris is like asking him these questions, he goes, y'all want to hear me freestyle? And we're all like, no, unanimously. All 3 of us are like, no, bro. And he just does it. He just does it anyways. And I know, you know, it's bad when Joey says no, because Joey is actually good friends with this guy, right? Like, I'm not good friends with Isaac, and Chris had never met Isaac. You know, I just have known of Isaac for a long time. But Joey's actually good friends with him, right? At least to my knowledge. So I don't know about it anymore, because he seemed kind of pissed yesterday too. But either way, so he just starts spitting some bars. He plays a beat and just starts spitting some bars. And Chris just goes wide-eyed again. And he's like, bro... Like, in the middle of him rapping, Chris just goes like, bro, you gotta leave. Like, you gotta go home, bro. You gotta go wherever you came from. And at first, I think Isaac thinks he's joking, because he kind of laughs a little bit. And Chris goes, nah, I'm for real, bro. And Chris's mom is in the garage during this whole thing, just chilling with us. So that's why, you know, knowing how Chris is, if his mom wasn't in the garage, like, I probably would have had to separate them. Because, like, Chris probably would have hit him, right? Chris gets irritated very easily by people doing retarded shit while they smoke, you know? And I can't blame him. If someone came to my house and started doing gross-ass shit like that while I'm just trying to smoke some blunts with the homies, you could fuck right off. I'd be mad as hell, you know? So, either way, he starts fucking freestyling as Chris is asking him to leave his house. So, finally... oh, my God. Excuse me, guys. Finally, he stops freestyling. And he grabs a bowl off the counter, right? This is my bowl. I brought it in with me. He grabs my bowl off the counter and the grinder with my weed in it and starts packing another bowl. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? You got to go. He's like, what you mean? I'm like, Chris just said you got to go home, bro. He's like, you for real? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's time to go. For real. So I take the bowl out of his hand. I'm like, let me see your grinder, bro. And I'm like, all right, homie's really fucking stoned right now, and I want to break his heart, you know? Like, bro seems a little upset that we're kicking him out, even though he's being a complete fucking dingus, right? So I tried to be a nice guy, be cool about it, and at least let him go home with the remainder of my weed, because he didn't have any, you know? So I scoop out the bowl, pour it back in his grinder. He's got easily like 3 bull packs left in his grinder, right? So I try to send him home with a little care package to at least make him feel a little better, you know? And I walk him out the door, right, with Joey. Joey gives him a ride home because Isaac doesn't have a car, right? So, and I even offered Joey out. I was like, dude, like, if you drive Isaac somewhere, like, I'll give you like $5 or $10 or some shit, you know? And he was like, yeah, for sure. So either way, so, you know, I walked him out the door. Chris stays in the garage waiting, you know? And I walk out with him just to make sure they leave and shit, you know? Just to make sure. Because I trust Joey for sure. But Isaac, I had to do that, you know? I had to make sure everything was good, you know? And on the way out, I'll never forget this part, right? Isaac says, I'll shoot that motherfucker. Now, let me just point out, right? That's not how he worded it, but I can't say it because I was the only white guy in the room, so I don't have access to that word. Now, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But either way, you can figure out how he worded it. But either way, so, you know, Isaac says that on his way out, and I'm like, no, you wouldn't, bro. And he's like, why not? And I was like, because he'd actually shoot you. You're on the track team. Because, like, think about it for a minute. That's not what you say at a drug dealer's house, bro. You don't go to the plug's house and threaten to shoot the guy on the way out, you know? Like, that's not how it works. And, of course, he wouldn't say it to his face. He'd only say it while he was walking away and to me, right? So I'm like, all right, yeah, fuck off. You know, I was even maybe going to, like, fist bump him or shake his hand before he left just because I felt a little bad. But then I was like, nah, dude, fuck you. Like, go the fuck home. Suck my dick, you know? So he gets in Joey's car. They pull off. I hop by my car, and I just grab my wallet because I forgot I left my wallet in my car. And I go back in because I was expecting to grab some weed. But Chris's older brother hadn't even either woken up or gotten home yet. I didn't really know where he was, so he wasn't able to sell me that quad that I was coming there for to begin with. So my whole day was blown because all that ended up happening was this kid just smoked and took like the rest of my weed, right? All I had was like this like 1.5 2 gram bag left. So I only had enough more for me and Chris to smoke one more blunt. Luckily, Joey didn't smoke anymore, so we didn't have to wait for him to get back. You know, it was just me and Chris chilling it and smoking. And Joey gets back, and Chris is like, bro, I hope you know I'm not mad at you. You're always cool, but don't bring that motherfucker around here ever again, you know? And I tell Chris what he said on the way out. I'm like, yeah, he said he'd shoot you. And he just laughs. He's like, bro, that kid's retarded. Like, who does he hang out with? Why is he like this? And I'm like, I don't know, bro. That kid's kind of fucked in the head. But either way, that's my story about the worst guy to smoke with. Because honestly, I don't think I've ever smoked with anybody that bad. Like, that was terrible. That's the last kind of guy you want to smoke with. So, either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Sorry if I sounded weird. Sorry if I coughed too much, etc., etc. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.